네, 안녕하세요. 방금 소개받은 그 한국물산업협의회 KWP의 회장 그리고 또 고려대 이제 있습니다. 저 고려대 교수 홍승환입니다. 이렇게 만나 뵙게 돼서 반갑고요. 사실은 저희가 또 하고 있는 다른 세션이 이제 있는데 그 세션에 축사도 하고 또 앞에 부분 있다 보니까 제가 조금 늦게 들어왔습니다. 하지만 그 발표 자료를 제가 미리 받았고 그 발표 자료에 대한 내용을 검토하고 들어와서 저희 그 패널 디스커션을 진행을 해보도록 하겠습니다. 지금 뭐 동시 통역이 있나요? 지금? 동시 통역이 있으니까 패널 토의자들이 전부 다 외국분이시기 때문에 영어로 진행하도록 하겠습니다. Since we have a translator, I think I'm going to use English to communicate with the panel, conduct this panel discussion. And like what I said, I missed the first session, but however, I reviewed all those presentations before coming down here. So that's why I know exactly what you presented. And we're going to continuously what the Korean industry, Korean water industry, what Korean industry needs to know about all this, the water industry globally. And what I like to do is, I'm going to ask some question that I have from your presentations. I think if I summarize what we discussed in this seminar, from the standpoint of Korean water industry, I can come up with a two words: accessibility, and number two, deglobalization or localizations. And what will be the impact of those two on Korean water industry going abroad and then making business abroad? And the first question is regarding the accessibility. I know the global water market is increasing significantly and then will increase significantly next 10 or 20 years. However, the accessible market for Korean water industry, I'm not sure about that one because of the trend that we see in the world right now. And so I'd like to ask the Ken about, the accessible market in the United States for Korean water industry. You mentioned about, all lead, water service line replacement, but however, can Korean water industry have access to that market, for example? So please.
Yes, thank you for the question. If I understood your question, you're asking about the lead service line replacement programs that are going on in the U.S. right now?
Right, and that is one example, that accessibility to U.S. market.
Yeah, that one example is pretty tricky because in general, it's a low-tech project to remove the lead service line between the main and the customer's home or business and put in a copper line. So in general, it's done with local materials and local crews doing that work. I would say for opportunities for Korean and the U.S. market, Korean companies, it's going to be in the tech space. Because those are the things right now that a lot of the cutting edge utilities are looking for is high-tech solutions, whether it be asset management, GIS, computerized maintenance management systems. Those are things that aren't as parochial as the traditional design, bid, build projects that was referenced during some of the presentations. So I hope I'm answering your question here.
Okay, thank you very much. I think same question to Toby. European market. accessibility to EU market. I mean, you mentioned about cooperation between EU company as well and Korean company for third world market, right? And I mean, I'm not talking about that specific market, but in general, accessibility to EU market for Korean people.
Yes, thank you. For Korean companies to come to Europe, I think the best way, if you have some digital solutions or circular economy solutions, something special that we don't necessarily have, or you have something more innovative. When it comes to standard solutions, there's a lot of competition. So I would look more with these special technical solutions and go with that edge. And of course, you can also try to come with other solutions, but that's probably easier. And then then the other possibility is to work together with the European companies within Europe or outside of Europe in a third country. Then you can use your strength where you have your best chances and try to combine with a local European company.
Do you think that the EU companies are willing to collaborate with the Korean company if Korean company has some, advanced technology in terms of a circular economy and also climate resilience?
You will have to find the right partners. Some are interested to work, some try to develop themselves. So that's case by case.
Okay, thank you very much. And we talked about collaboration between EU and the Korean company for third world market. I'm not sure, North Africa and Middle East is a third world market or not, but I'm familiar with this MENA, reason because I had a huge government-funded project regarding seawater desalination in United Arab Emirates. So I'm familiar with what's going on in this area, but I have a question regarding the water and energy nexus project in the Middle East. And do you see any new coming, the leading edge technology that Korean companies should pursue, like a solar desalination that you mentioned?
Yes, thank you for this question. So I think the market in the MENA region, either in the North African countries or either in the Middle East countries, is very emerging, and there is a very big need for development in different sectors, including the energy and water specifically. As I said before, if we could, for example, have an overview about the potential in all countries, and recently, as I said, to be in line with the trendy momentum of the green hydrogen production, there is a substantial need for the desalination of water. Several countries, for example, like the Kingdom of Morocco, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Arab United Emirates, are currently launching new projects, for example, for desalination, dedicated to the production of the green hydrogen. For the water electrolysis and for the desalination, there is currently a very big gap, specifically for the mega scale proven projects. Mm-hmm. And I think here different players all over the world could support those countries and this region in the Middle East and North Africa. And I think for the Korean companies, there is a very big potential that could be exploited there in those countries. But there is also, here I will call for more coordination effort between the different stakeholders, either here in Korea or there in our region, to identify the gaps and also to try to identify what the Korean players or actors could provide to the region in order to facilitate, for example, the investment or the Korean investment in the Arab countries, and also for those countries to benefit from the Korean expertise and the technology maturity that you have reached in your economy.
Okay. One of the reasons why, I think, the green hydrogen technology is really useful for that main reason is, economic feasibility. I think the production of the green hydrogen, if I look at the all over the world, the Middle East is the place that we can actually have economic feasibility regarding green hydrogen production. Am I right? I mean, can you talk about this economic feasibility of this green hydrogen production by using the desalted seawater?
Yes, so as I presented before, if we talk, for example, energy and renewable resources, in this region there is a very big potential, either on, for example, solar energy or wind energy. And majority of the countries has developed different action plans and they currently reached an amount of installed capacity. Currently, because, for example, of the geographical positioning of this region, in Europe there are some objectives, for example, to reach the net zero carbon by 2050. So European countries need, for example, to decarbonize their industry, and they need to start producing, of course, and then importing green products, for example, like the synthetic fuels, methanol, and so on. So those products are originally produced through the hydrogen, but we need also to green this hydrogen. So we need hydrogen coming from green resources. We need hydrogen coming from the water electrolysis using renewable electricity. Okay? The water, there is a big problem of water scarcity in the region. So the alternative that could be used to produce the green hydrogen for all our countries is the desalinated water. So this is the reason behind launching big project for desalinating water. For example, in Morocco, and like the example that our colleague Christopher gave for the Spanish company who won the development of this new desalination plant. I mean, in Morocco, the Moroccan Kingdom launched different projects all over the country, for example, in the south and in the north. Why? Because Morocco has also launched a roadmap for green hydrogen production and export to Europe, specifically for Germany. Okay, Egypt did the same. Oman, for example, United Arab Emirates. Oman, by the way, is one of the exporters of hydrogen, not green hydrogen, hydrogen to Korea. So I think the potential is there, but the gap is in the technological side, and here is the opportunity for the Korean actors to bridge this gap, technology speaking.
That is correct. I mean, the Korean industry, we have, the not only water technology, we have very good, the solar energy generation technology, as well as, the water splitting technology. I mean, the hydrogen production technology. So when we combine with the water technology, then I think Korean industry will have some advantage of going into that market. So thank you for your comments. And then I have another question. I have a question regarding the Philippine market for Lao. You worked with the K-Water, right? Have you worked with any private Korean companies before?
As I mentioned earlier, with regards to the San Miguel Group, okay, I only speak for the San Miguel Group in the Philippines. We have partnerships with Hyundai Rotem also for our rail. And recently, we just won a bid for the rehabilitation of the Manila International Airport with Incheon. Other than those two companies that have government flavor, K-Water is the only other one, but we are one of the few Filipino companies that has been very open to Korean partnership.
Okay.
We are not afraid in San Miguel to say that we do not know this business, come and help us, teach us, and be our partner. And we have been able to show that it works.
Okay. I mean, those two companies that you mentioned are private companies. They are not in the water sectors.
No.
So if water companies, I mean private companies in Korea, how they will approach to you? What they should do?
Well, this forum was one of them. We went around earlier to the displays, and you had conveniently the barcodes here, and a lot of them were scanning us because we were asking questions. Unfortunately, we had a difficult time. It's good that we had an interpreter with us, but it would have been better if we could understand each other in detail. But they did get our details, and we are hoping that they get back to us. And we will see what happens in the future. It's worked in the past. Let's see what the future will bring.
I see. I hope more Korean private company will work with you in the future.
You see, San Miguel is also developing the new Manila International Airport with an AeroCity. That is 2,500 hectares also in the province of Bulacan. So aside from the airport, there is a new city that's being developed. So there is so much potential, not only for water, but especially for water, and the private companies that have specialities in the different aspects of water to come over and help us. And since we've worked and seen how our partnership with Korean companies can be done successfully, we are not afraid to open our doors again to them.
Okay, thank you. The next question will be to Chris. I mentioned at the beginning accessibility, market accessibility, and the next one was deglobalization and then localization issue. How Korean company should react or should respond to this trend in the water market?
Well, as I was saying, my impression is that Korea is actually leading itself in deglobalization, in that, as I said, a few years back, Korean companies such as Doosan, Samsung, and GS were fully engaged with international water markets. But Doosan has disappeared. GS has essentially acquired Inima and left Inima to be its main international developer. And we hear very little of Samsung. I suspect that the reason for this is that the opportunities outside water and outside, possibly inside Korea, are better. And, it's an interesting situation. Looking around the exhibition, I would say that a lot of the companies here are involved in relatively standard products such as pipes, pumps, and valves, and they will struggle or they are unlikely to be themselves interested in the international market. There seems to be some interest. I see a number of sewer inspection robots and that kind of network technology. That's very interesting technology, but it is part of a solution rather than the whole of a solution. And in order to sell that, you need to be working with partners in different places, and that's probably difficult. My guess is the reason why this room is not quite as full as it might be is because there is not really that much interest in Korea in accessing global markets, because the Korean market is probably quite strong and very comfortable. And really, it will only be when the Korean market becomes less strong and less comfortable that we see real hunger. But apart from Tomorrow Water and BKT, which I feel has got hunger for the international opportunities, I don't see it here. I mean, stand up if you are hungry for international business.
I think the Korean people should be more hungrier. I mean, much hungrier, right? Otherwise, we're not going to, have good access to the international market, I guess. Okay, that's good advice to Korean industry, and I think the time is almost. What time do I have to finish? 5 o'clock, so we do have 10 minutes to go. Okay, now I'd like to give mic to the floor. We do have a question from the floor.
Very good afternoon from Saudi Arabia.
Welcome.
You know Saudi Arabia?
Sure. I've been there many times.
Where is the
Yes.
biggest desalination plant?
Right.
Right?
I know
And
SWCC.
You talk about water and purifying water. The Saudi Arabia is the biggest consumer of your technology and Korean technology and Korean companies. These gentlemen just mentioned Samsung disappeared, Doosan disappeared. No, they are in Saudi Arabia. They want money. Europe will not give them money. Please let me finish. Europe will not give them money. America will not give them money. I dare to say that. America are not going to allow your technology come there because they have technology. I hope you don't mind a small complaint. This is Korea water, and you want to talk about water and purification and desalination and all that, and there is nobody from Saudi Arabia. Please remember us, and there is information about my company, everything is there. And when I took the exhibition, visit tour of the exhibition, some of the suppliers were complaining that it's difficult to get registration, for example, in Aramco. You know, Aramco is the world's largest oil exporter. Saudi Arabia is the world's largest oil exporter. So if anybody has any difficulty, because you have invited me, and thanks for that. It's a sponsored invitation. Korea Water paid for the ticket and hotel and everything. And thank you for the hospitality. I will remember it. I have a lot of Korean friends. One of them is David Kohn, who is online with me now. And you also talk about green hydrogen. So I was involved in the world largest air separation unit built by American company, Air Product. And I did the foundation work. Basically, I'm foundation engineer, geotechnical engineer. But in Saudi Arabia, I don't know how many people remember, I'm working there since 1984 and continuously developing various technologies. We are now into environmental engineering as well, and geotechnical and a lot of other fields we are covering because we expanded a lot. So hydrogen technology, green hydrogen also, Saudi Arabia is going to be maybe the world's largest producer of hydrogen. They already developed one plant, and in NEOM, Korean company has the contract for port development for NEOM. And that's going to be very big port. And I'm sure a lot of Korean companies will continue in Saudi Arabia. So I would like to see Saudi Arabian experience of desalination, which is mainly based on Korean technology. There were some Japanese, we worked with Hitachi as well. They supplied the complete technology, complete desalination plant as well. And plus environmental technology is also coming from a lot of Korean companies. So thank you very much. My name is Parvez Noshai, and everything is available here. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank
Bye.
you for encouraging comments on Korean industry in Saudi Arabia particularly. And yes, many Korean companies are very interested in, the NEOM City project, including seawater desalination and also green hydrogen production in the future. I think the time is going. We do have, only 5 more minutes. So, is there any question from the Korean audience? If we don't have any,
저는 코리아 워터 파트너십 시민소비라고 합니다. 크리스토퍼 갓슨 그 GWI 퍼블리식에 질문 드리고 싶은데요. 2가지 질문이 있습니다. 먼저 첫 번째 질문은 이제 아까 발표하실 때 새로운 PPP 모델로 정부나 공공에서 자금을 대는 그런 사업을 소개를 해주셨는데 그 사업이 파이낸싱, 그러니까 자금에 대한 투자만 얘기하는 건지 아니면 직접 공공이 그 사업에 참여하는 사업자로서 참여하는 것까지 말씀하시는지 그런 부분에 대한 좀 질문을 드리는데요. 뭐 예를 들면 뭐 K-워터의 사례도 말씀해 주셨는데 K-워터가 펀드를 투자를 할 수도 있고 또는 직접 사업에 참여할 수도 있는데 어느 부분이 더 효율적인지 그런 부분에 대한 의견이 첫 번째 질문이고요. 두 번째 질문은 이제 기후 변화에 대한 그 물 분야의 영향이라든가 대응은 우리가 많이 논의하고 있는데 탄소 중립에 대해서 구체적으로 탄소를 줄이기 위해서 탄소 중립을 위해서 물 분야에서 필요한 기술이라든가 앞으로 해야 될 이런 일들이 기술적인 측면에서 어떤 것들을 준비하면 좋을지에 대한 그 의견을 좀 여쭙고 싶습니다.
Okay, right. In terms of the first question, I think that I would probably segment the private finance market into the sort of Middle East or GCC private finance market, which is very competitive and very international, and really the winners are the people with the lowest cost of capital. And I suspect that for K-Water, they wouldn't necessarily have a lower cost of capital than some of the other participants in that market. In the sort of developing world market, which the World Bank is backing, I think expertise is a much more important source of competitive advantage. And K-Water combining with some of the funding agencies would be a very powerful proposition. And, I would be sort of looking for that as a place for growth. I think, in general, in water, most water is very local. And the two things which are not local are capital and technology. And so one needs to look for those when one is sort of internationalizing. In terms of this question of net zero and the water sector, we set up an observatory a few years back to track the number of cities and utilities around the world who were making commitments to net zero. And we got very excited. We thought that this would, initially before the Glasgow COP, there was a lot of activity with the utilities around the world committing to net zero. And then in the summer of 2022, the UNFCCC, that's the UN organization responsible for setting the rules on net zero, changed the rules or published new guidance on Scope 3 emissions, which made it very unattractive to utilities to commit to net zero. And since then, we've seen virtually no new utility commitments to net zero. And we're sort of waiting for new leadership on this. We were hoping that the US EPA would be making a big push on this. But the lady who was so keen on that has resigned suddenly last month. And as a result, we don't know when we will see another push on net zero in the utility sector. But when it comes, I think it will put the emphasis on more energy production from sludge, from biogas, and also the use of utility land and reservoirs for solar power and wind power. But as I say, at the moment, we do not feel a great momentum towards net zero commitments in the utility sector, largely because of Scope 3 emissions, which are the emissions relating to the upstream and downstream use of water. And in particular, if the downstream uses of water have such a huge carbon footprint that it's very difficult for anyone to neutralize that.
Thank you for your answer. And then I think the time is almost 5 o'clock. However, 오늘 그 외국 분들이 주로 오셨기 때문에 제가 이종섭 맞죠? 예, 저 전문위원님께 기회를 안 드렸는데 제가 그 한 가지 여쭤보고 싶은 거는 지금 베트남의 경험을 말씀하셨는데요. 그 베트남의 경험을 바탕으로 해서 동남아 또는 개발도상국의 마켓에 우리나라 그 물산업이 진출한다고 했을 때 항상 그 무슨 원조 사업만 해야 되나요? 아니면 뭔가 창조적으로 어떤 그 마켓을 창출을 해야 될지 그 한 1분만 딱 말씀해 주시기 바랍니다.
Actually, I don't know exactly what the water waste or resolution, but in my opinion, because I support Korean small and medium company over the 30 years, the field is the same, I think. So if the water company, water resources company will participate in better water industry first, they have to, there is the two kind of the method. First is the join the bidding. The project is always publicly released in the Vietnamese market, and the second is the product, finishing product, such as some of the pump or solution software like that, in case they have to join the distribution channel. So first, find the believable partner. And the other case is joining some solutions. The best one is participate in the exhibition. I already mentioned this two Vietnam exhibition in, I don't know exactly the time, but our company, the Korean small and medium company, strongly recommended to participate in the exhibition and find some of the available partner. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. 시간이 다 돼서 여기서 마무리를 하려고 합니다. 그 오늘 우리 이렇게 디스커션도 하고 그 다음에 또 앞에서 발제를 보면 제 생각에는 그렇습니다. 그 우리가 지금 물산업이 커지려면 우리가 접근할 수 있는 마켓에 대한 확실한 그 정보와 그 다음에 그 파트너십 그리고 또 그 마켓을 바탕으로 우리의 기술이 있어야 될 것 같습니다. 그래서 우리는 그러한 식으로 좀 마켓을 세분해서 그래서 접근을 했으면 좋겠고요. 그 다음에 또 하나의 굉장히 트렌드라고 그럴까요? 그런 것이 뭐냐면은 기후 변화입니다. 기후 변화가 오고 기후 위기가 오기 때문에 물 분야에서도 탄소 중립을 해야 된다. 또 그렇게 또 순환 경제를 달성해야 된다. 이런 것이 지금 전체적인 트렌드인데 아까 클라이밋 크라이시스라고 그랬죠? 기후 위기라고 했는데 제가 저번에 발표에서도 말씀을 드린 적이 있습니다. 항상 위기는 기회일 수가 있는 것 같습니다. 그래서 저희는 어떤 기술질 관점에서도 그렇고 여러 가지 이 물 쪽에서의 재난 대비하는 관점에서도 우리한테는 이 기후변화가 기회인 것 같습니다. 그래서 다 같이 노력해서 해외로 진출하는 그런 아이디어를 창출해 봅시다. 오늘 수고 많으셨습니다. 감사합니다.